everybody, Lisa here with another installment of hashtag 78 days, and I'm coming to this late in the day. Today is day 14 and the card is death, and I wasn't able to get this recorded this morning, so here I am at the end of a day in a very smoky Oregon. I wanted to film outside, in part just, I mean, it's beautiful, but then also just to capture just, our state is on fire. We've got intense flooding in Texas. We've got, forest fires raging in the West. In case you didn't notice, things are kind of catawampus. So that's interesting and depressing, and in some ways it inspires me to think very much about this card, death, which is a card about change and transformation and loss and moving forward and cycles and erasures and new beginnings and all sorts of things, right? Complicated card. This is a card that comes on the wake of what we've been seeing with the wheel, right? So this is the Visconti Sforza, the Il Meneghello edition, where you have blind fortune at the center of the wheel and you have these four figures, Michael Dummett's fabulous book. Michael Dummett, very important tarot historian, and so he has this fabulous book that just basically describes, it's not offering meanings for these cards because he was not someone who promoted the idea of the esoteric tarot, but it offers full color plate and then discussions of these cards. So one of the things he says, the symbolic idea of fortune's wheel is far older than tarot cards. As fortune spins her wheel, the fortunes of those attached to it rise or fall. On the present card, proceeding clockwise from left, these scrolls read Regnabo, Regno, Regnavi, Sum sine regno, which means in Latin, I shall reign, I am reigning, I have reigned, and I am without reign. So, fortune is about the rising, falling of, I will reign, I am reigning, I have reigned, and I'm without reign. It's, in the terms of sovereignty and kingship, right, the fortunes of the high and mighty, that's one thing. But in a sense, this wheel, very traditionally, is about all of us because, we all sort of imagine our life's path about the kind of rising into our own self-sovereignty, our own full identity, coming into our own. And then typically we imagine the aging process as this declining of those fortunes, this declining of our identity, and then death at the very end, like you have nothing, like as Shakespeare says, in As You Like It, in the end, all the world's a stage, and, in the end, we play many parts over the course of our life, and in the end, there's nothing. We have nothing. There is nothing. And that end is what is depicted by death. Traditionally, so this is the Dodal 1701 Tarot. Traditionally, Trump 13 has a number, but no name, right? There's no name at the bottom. Because death's scythe cuts away everything, cuts away all of our identity. So that's what death, this card that is about loss, that is about physical death, and it's at its most basic, but is about loss, is about transformation, is about the end. It's ultimately a card that is really about our, I think, fantasies of our own identity and what it means to let go. So, here, letting go of these identities, of these parts of ourselves, is part and parcel of natural growth, right? The hands, the heads, the crowns, right? It's all part of this world that where things are harvested, where things come to fruition, and where things fade away. As I was saying about the Hanged Man yesterday, in some ways, I'm seeing this whole movement of the Trumps. Sorry, the camera keeps shaking because I'm on this table that is like a little bit shaky, like life, a little bit shaky. I was thinking about the Hanged Man, really as about a card that is getting us to recognize the sacrifices that are entailed in living. At its most fundamental, we can't live without letting go. We can't live without loss. We can't grow without some places where we lose something, because it's all tied together, right? We're all on this great wheel where things rise and other things fall. And so, that can sound depressing, like, recognize the ways in which every moment of our life entails loss, entails giving something up. I open one door, I close another. In my own life right now, that's happening with me professionally. I keep alluding to this transformation, On the one hand, I'm writing a book called Mindful Tarot. I've got my contract with Llewellyn. It's signed on both sides. So sometime, probably early 2019, you'll be able to own your very own copy of Mindful Tarot. So on the one hand, doors opening up for me. On the other hand, I'm seeing ways in which that means letting go of other things, right? But, that's just focusing on one side of this transformation that Trump 13 presents. One side of that is about what we give up. Or equivalently, one side of that is about the way in which giving up is a part of growth. But what I actually really believe in my heart of hearts is more in keeping with this card. This is Death in the Roots of Asia Tarot. I don't have the little white book for this deck. If anyone has a little white book and wants to, or is able to PDF a copy of it, or wants to sell or trade their copy of the little white book, I would love it. But the meaning of this card is, I think, simple enough to see in the very imagery. The way in which creation is bound up in this life, death, arising, falling. The profound unity of all things. So we can see this as about the loss of self. We can talk about doors shutting, one door shutting, another door opening. We can talk about transformation. We can talk about loss. We can talk about sacrifice. We can go back to the Hanged Man and the question of sacrifice. We can see our worlds as about gain and loss, about that wheel where one person's on the top because someone else is on the bottom. Or we can take another approach to all of this and say, hey, it's all one. It's all abundance. It's all the universe. At the heart of it all, that blooming, blossoming heart of it all, there's sacredness and sanctity and beauty and glory and life. And that life is tied to things as old as the mountains, which includes the passing away of other things. But in the full summation of it all, there's nothing other than beauty and wholeness, abundance, peace, the whole shebang. I love this death card. I love the sense of peace and stillness, a stillness that comes from seeing the mountains all around us that are a part of this whole process of birthing and dying, of changing and growing, of letting go and grabbing on. So this is why I practice, right? I practice, I meditate, I practice with the cards, I practice in communion with you, I practice sitting in the smoky air of my beloved Oregon. I practice in order to feel this abundance and wholeness. at the heart of everything. That is everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your practice.